The biggest thing is really forging the relationships with the rest of the C-suite. It is the biggest reason I see chief product officers actually get the job and lose their job very quickly, and this does happen a lot, is because they're not actually interfacing as an executive. They are basically um, they're they're instead going into their teams. This is what they do. They go back to their teams. They say, I need a coach. I need to develop my teams, which is fantastic. You do need to do that. But you need to spend just as much time that you do with your teams with the rest of the executives, because that's your first team. So they don't understand that my first team and the part of team that I'm on is actually this executive team. And what they do is they just gravitate towards getting into the weeds with their team. If you don't build those relationships, you can't get anything done as a chief product officer. Like, it is impossible to do what you need to do, which is drive strategy, bring people together, prioritize things, have really difficult conversations about things we can do and can't do. And if you can't have those conversations without that relationship. So that's the first thing that you should do when you get into an organization. Meet with the rest of the executives, put lots of time on their calendar, get to know them, ask them how their functions work, ask them, like, what's been your biggest frustration with product? Find out where you can get quick wins and deliver them. I've seen really great CPOs go in, and what they do is they go to sales and they're like, what's the one thing you've been asking for years and nobody's given you, if there's tension there? And depending on how big it is, sometimes they just go, oh, that's easy. Like, let's just do it. And then they do it. And then sales is like, wow, we want to be your best friend now. So like, sometimes it's not about delivering the roadmap immediately or effectively, right? But like, you need to build those relationships. So that's the most important thing. So I would say that's number one. Number two, what I tell everybody is, like, don't go in with a million ideas, go in there and listen. So you spend the first 30, 60 days, like 30 days, I would say, listening, getting the lay of the land. 60 days, you start digging into your hypotheses and assumptions and stuff like that. You should come out of a 90-day start of a product CPO position with, like, here's my proposed product strategy based on what I learned. And that shouldn't be the first time that everybody saw it. You should have been communicating it as you built it along the way, getting people up to it. But like, have some sort of plan of what you want to fix by the end of 90 days. And if you don't, they're going to be like, what did you just do for 90 days? So like try to really build those together. And it could be wherever you need to start, right? I'd say have something of a roadmap, whether it's confirming the existing roadmap or presenting a new one. Have something like that to get the lay of the land on the team and figure out what you need to do, whether you got to hire, whether you got to restructure, anything like that. And then three, look at your processes and data and make sure that you understand the infrastructure. So whenever I approach assessing a product team or going in, if I was playing the interim CPO role, which I have a bunch of times, I look at, like, how's your product strategy? How's your product operations kind of set up? And are teams able to get the data they need to make decisions? And then how's my team? Do I have the right people in the right places, and is it structured correctly? So I do some kind of assessment like that yourself, but listen, really, like, fill it in, and then communicate it back to the rest of the leadership as you're learning and saying, hey, I think I'm going to start here. What are your thoughts on it? And make sure that you're building, because you built those relationships and because you're building those relationships, you're telling them your thought process, you're introducing it to them. So you're not just like bamboozling them after 90 days and changing everything, like, you're warming them up to it. So I'd say those are, like, the really key spots to make sure that you're successful as soon as you get in there, is really build those relationships.